Hey gang, welcome back to the Music Majors Club Unpacked. My name is Jesse.
And today, we're gonna be giving our final thoughts on the album Mayhem by Lady Gaga. Okay, so if you're wondering what the heck is going on, where is the set? Why is this so much more vlog style? I get it, this is different. I haven't really done a final thoughts video like this before, but mixing it up. We're trying something different today, right team? Part of the inspiration for this is like, after you listen to the album for the first time and you're really listening for a live reaction, you're taking it all in for the very first time, and you edit and you go back and you're like, oh my gosh, well now I actually know this album, now I know this song, now I know this music. There's more thoughts, there's more things that come up. There's things that I wish that I could say differently, there's things that I wish that I could add, and of course there's things that I feel now after knowing the music and knowing the songs. So I thought this would be a cool way to kind of add to what I've already said with my unpack. And if nothing else, it's so funny that I actually have the album in the background now, right? Because in the original unpack, it was midnight on the night that it actually released, and I didn't even have the album yet. There's kind of just more information and more in this era to kind of unpack in a way. I want to start with some overall thoughts too. This album has really grown on me in more than I was expecting, because in my first listen, like I mentioned a lot, I really thought this was going to be a dark pop record, and there are instances where that happens and there is some pop inspiration in the record. I actually at first didn't really vibe with some of the initial sounds that I was hearing, because I really thought there was gonna be more of that pop vibe and there was so much more of that rock and acoustic vibe. And part of the way that music is designed in a way, I feel, is that the more that you listen to something, the more that you tend to either gravitate towards it and start to like it, or you just truly decide that you don't. But Mayhem was definitely a chaotic experience at first. I remember going to bed that night and thinking like, man, there wasn't a lot of what I was really hoping for in this record. And I was a little bit, I wouldn't say disappointed, but I was just expecting something different. And now, 3 months later, I have come to really love some of the songs that I even thought at the time that I might not really re-listen to or revisit. So it's been kind of a roller coaster of a journey. I want to start right off the bat by addressing the 4 songs that I was really excited about in my initial listen.
Honestly, it's midnight Friday morning, March 7th here in Orlando. I think I will just give you like my top songs or expectations, I suppose, without including the songs that we've heard so far. I have really high hopes for Vanish Into You. I have already heard, obviously, part of Garden of Eden from the promo, so I think that sounds really cool. I think Perfect Celebrity is going to be really awesome, too, for how much she's been talking about it, and I'm really excited to hear Blade of Grass, just also because she's been talking about it and her relationship and Michael and so much for that song, so I'm really excited to hear that one, too. I'm also really excited to hear Shadow of a Man. I mean, that's the full song of the snippet that we heard from HBO.
Okay, starting with Vanish Into You, y'all, at first listen, I was like, this is so Summer Boy inspired, this is like OG Gaga vibes, and I did like that, but after that first listen, I was a bit like, okay, this is not where I thought this album was going at all, and I didn't think Vanish Into You was gonna hit for me as hard as it does now, ironically. Vanish Into You was like a slow burn for me. I really enjoy it now. I love how deep that song is. I feel like there's more than just the surface level of that track, and I feel like it had the single material and had the single push, but I actually don't find that we're gonna have that as a single as we initially thought we would. Garden of Eden, of course, is a banger. I stand by that. I knew it when I heard it first. Garden of Eden is like one of my favorites from the album, easily. Of course, seeing it live and seeing the outro with all that choreo at the end is super iconic Gaga, like very classic her. But I definitely think this is a fan favorite from the album and is getting the praise that it deserves. Perfect Celebrity, I've got to be honest, it didn't quite hit as much as I thought it was going to. I liked it in the initial listen, but it's not one that I find myself gravitating towards frequently. I do think it was a cool way to release the album title tracks in the initial teaser videos. It's a pretty cool, like upbeat, I found it to be more of like a grunge and, rockish sound, but it's not one that I find myself listening to frequently. There was a really cool shout out too that I had with Perfect Celebrity and Disease. Music Major actually commented this, and I'll put it down below, but they noticed how my tie-in between Disease and Perfect Celebrity being like sister tracks, they're actually put back to back in Gaga's set list. And I didn't actually realize that. Of course, I've seen the live performances, but I didn't even really realize the fact that they were back to back. We really knew all along that they just had such a similar sonic experience. And then y'all, Blade of Grass, do not cancel me. Of course, I love Blade of Grass's meaning for her and her relationship with Michael, but between Blade of Grass and The Beast, Those are probably my least two favorites on the album. I really have to be in the mood for those, especially with the Beast. The entire vibe of that like nature sound really threw me off in the first listen. I ended up liking it more than I thought I would after that initial listen, but the Beast, that was not one that I was like, oh, this is one of my favorites. And I think it's a bit hard to in your initial listen. You're trying to take it all in for what it is, process the information. Speaking of, I'm so disappointed with my own reaction of How Bad Do You Want Me, because in my initial listen, I was poisoned by the internet to be listening for Taylor Swift. I kid you not, the next day I listened to that song multiple times and I was like, yo, this How Bad Do You Want Me is a banger. This is instantly one of my favorites from the album. I don't even really remember hearing it very much in my initial listen because, again, I was listening so much for Taylor Swift, and that was just so silly. One of my good friends, Josh, was like, oh, I thought that for sure would have been one of your favorites from the album, and I thought I didn't even really hear it very much because I was just listening for Taylor. So that was kind of a choice, but that is instantly one of my favorites from the album. Another absolute favorite, of course, is Shadow of a Man. We knew it from the initial snippet. We knew it during the first listen that it was going to be iconic, and that is absolutely probably my most listened to song from the album. Shadow of a Man is just, it's such a banger. It combines the best blend of what I said initially, which is like Lady Gaga, Michael Jackson, the whole vibe of pop music with a hint of hip hop and dance. It's just such a good song. Instantly one of my favorites. Maybe one of my favorite Gaga songs of all time. All right, let's talk about Zombie Boy. Now, of course, Zombie Boy was featured in the Netflix special Ta-Dum and featured a really cool collab crossover between Lady Gaga and the Addams Family, or Wednesday, the show on Netflix. And the performance from that was spectacular. If you haven't seen it yet, it's incredible. Zombie Boy really could be a very cool classic Halloween song. I'm so excited to see what happens in the fall and how Gaga is able to really utilize Zombie Boy in that spooky season. Something that I said in my initial listen and stand by today is that outro. Y'all, we need to sign a petition, get Gaga's attention, because we need that outro from Zombie Boy featured. That is the best outro from this album, and she has a ton of outros from the album that are really, really cool and really unexpected. And like I said in my reaction video, like she didn't have to do all that. She didn't have to go that hard on outros, but Zombie Boy's outro is so freaking good. I joke, I need that pumped like in my veins. I love the Zombie Boy outro so much.
Holy macaroni, that outro.
Two songs from the album have really surprised me that I really enjoy, and even after my initial listen, I wasn't that in love with, but absolutely love and play back to back all the time now. Love Drug and Don't Call Tonight. I don't know why I was sleeping on those two, and it's really sad to say that after my initial listen, I was like, these were okay, but y'all, I was wrong. Love Drug is such an instant kind of like sleeper hit, I feel, especially after coming right from Zombie Boy. Love Drug, I was like, okay, yeah, this isn't as exciting, but yo, Love Drug is great. And it's still the first song we haven't quite heard live or performed yet, and I'm really excited to hear that live, and hopefully she does something for it one day. And then Don't Call Tonight, I don't know, again, why I was sleeping on that one, but the vibe, that vocoder sound and tone, I just absolutely love Don't Call Tonight. Overall, I'm so pleasantly surprised with the amount of success that this record has had thus far, only 3 months in. I think all of her performances were done so strategically to really promote the album. The fact that she had all these pop-up tours or pop-up shows around the world, I think she did that so well, and I really think that her relationship with Michael and her team, they're all just so strong right now that that's what's really helping her, and everything seems just so unified and put together for this album, the release and tour. I think it's all just a really, really, really successful time for Gaga. I'm really excited for what's next because tour is right around the corner. Sadly, I don't have tickets to go. It's totally fine. I'll literally be in Vegas right before the first Vegas show, but it's okay. And I'm really excited to see her in the Netflix Wednesday show. I think she's really good. Just gonna knock that out of the park. There's been a lot of hype built around that. And nothing else, I'm just really happy for the success of this record. I think a lot of people were skeptical of her entering a different space outside of pop. And honestly, seeing her outside of this era is almost kind of different because I'm so used to seeing her with like black hair and in this era, you know? but I've really come to love this record, and I'm so thankful that it's kind of grown in one of my favorites of Gaga's discography. All right, y'all, those are my actual final thoughts from Gaga. Let me know what some of your final thoughts are, especially after you've processed the album and listened to the record more. Let me know also what you're excited to hear when Gaga actually goes on tour. What are some of the songs, and what do you think the next single is going to be, the next music video, all that stuff. As always, thank you so much for being here. Be sure to like and subscribe because you too can become a music major. We'll see you next time.